Good
Good.
afternoon, Australia. Good evening, America, and welcome everyone from around the world. Today, you're listening to Radio Toni, and this is Everyday Business. And we have a wonderful guest on the show for you today, which I'll introduce her in a moment. For all of you listening live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, we have the gorgeous Payo from the Philippines listening in to take your comments, send you links, and provide you with information about the subjects we're talking about today. If you're driving and you're just listening to this in your car, just remember you can jump on to radiotoni.com where we have all the information about all of our guests, all of their links, and how to connect and talk to them yourself. The replays of the show are available on the YouTube channel and also on Binge TV across the United States of America. The Toni TV channel app is available on all LG, Roku, and Samsung smart TVs across the world. So my glorious guest today is Vandana Tolini. A beautiful name for a beautiful woman. Vandana has had 15 years of experience in international and domestic business advisory and fundraise. Her core area of work is fundraising for early stage startups across all sectors and industry subverticals. She has a diverse set of experiences have enabled Vandana to develop an eagle eye for spotting opportunities in industries that are set for long-term growth in the Indian economic context. She's also passionate about helping businesses reach the right people and fulfill their business requirements. A highly organized and detailed orientated professional with a large network of venture capital funds, angel investors, and family offices. Vandana's vision is of driving a two-way value innovation exercise that's helped to create trust with most of India's investors. Convanto is Vandana's company, and it was started 7 years ago. And it's a combination of the words consultant, Vandana Tolini. It is a boutique investment bank with a range of services aimed at enabling young startups. It provides them with services such as fundraising, market, growth advisory, strategic advisory, and value-added services such as building investor presentations and financial models. At Convanto, they advise small, medium, and large enterprises on raising capital, funding their product to market, and implementing a successful go-to-market strategy, a branding strategy, and brand positioning. Unlike traditional consulting firms, they have a proven operational expertise in bringing money, creating value, and driving growth to help you maximize results. Some of their services include funding, investment management, debt and equity, mergers, acquisitions, business plan preparations, business plan project plan preparations, and pitch deck preparations. Financial and strategic planning, analysis, consulting, strategic planning, executive advisory, business valuation advisory, and startup growth strategies and planning. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome to the show this afternoon Vandana Tolini. Hello, Vandana. How are you?
First of all, thank you, Toni, for such a beautiful introduction and the lovely video that you played. I'm absolutely fine. And here it is a Thursday morning at 7:30 a.m.
Nice and early.
Yeah, nice and early. The sun is already out, and really happy to be on your show. It's a great pleasure and honor, the way you're conducting it and the way you have presented it. I just saw my LinkedIn where I was tagged, so thank you so much for that. Uh, and really happy to be here.
I really enjoy talking to women who do something that may be viewed as traditionally a male role. And when you think about funding and capital raising and venture capital, you often think of men in that role, but there's quite a lot of women that do that, aren't there, Vandana? How did you get into this area of expertise?
So the thing was that, I never wanted to be working under somebody or feel boxed
Yeah.
in. I just wanted to do my own thing. Um, since I was in my early teens, I did a couple of jobs. Then I moved to Jakarta and Singapore, where I had my own family office fund. I assisted a lot many startups there. And just about 7 years back, when I came back to India, I thought of, restarting again my mission, which was to get lots of these companies funded and help them with their growth strategies. Also because, uh, you know, the thing was that there was this drive in me that I'm going to
Yes.
do something unconventional, which maybe many women had not done. I didn't want it to just become do some cooking thing or become a fashion designer or do something
Yeah.
or do some beautician thing, which all females would do. uh, Also, I wanted to make people understand that women do have the talent, and it's okay for women to be in the finance industry. uh, Typical conception is that they are not business savvy. Maybe they are not good at
Ah,
maths, and people have notions around it. But it's totally, I wouldn't say, I mean, it's totally incorrect because people do look down
yes.
upon women, even in this era where we are. We have to really make our way to get to where we want to. And this month, I'm also nominated as the top 10 women leaders in wealth management 2021.
Oh,
That's a small thing that I wanted to share as well. So I think this drives me a lot.
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think it's very important to do what you like, first of all. And
Yes,
if you believe in yourself, I think you can, achieve what you wish to achieve.
absolutely. Now, Vandana, when we talked and we've spoken a number of times, it, it hasn't been easy for you. So you were doing really, really well in the family company in Singapore. And are you happy to share with what transpired and how you ended up back in India?
Um, I just moved here with my two kids, and
Yes.
because in Singapore and Jakarta, it is also very Muslim dominated, and they look down upon women, and the
Yes.
culture was not very comfortable there for me to grow. And my roots were in India, so I got back to India with both my kids. I got separated with my husband, and
Yeah.
so hence I just took this call to get back and start on my own. Yeah.
That was 7 years ago, wasn't it? That was 7 years ago that you started Convanto. And I
Yeah.
love the story around how you named your company. Can you tell our listeners again? It's a lovely story.
Yes, so Convanto actually means consultant Vandana Tolani, which is actually my Gmail ID as well. I
Yeah.
wanted to have a similar name with my email ID, and hence we named it Convanto. So it's consultant Vandana Tolani, the full form. And Convanto actually just came up uh, in our mind like that only. With Actually, we had to keep some name of the company, and one of my friends suggested that keep something which is easy for everybody to understand. So I thought, let's just
Yeah.
do Convanto. For few months, we had the name already, but we didn't announce it until somebody
Mm-hmm.
pointed out to me that, it's high time you should announce the name and everything. That's when we did, because I wasn't sure that, because I was restarting my journey,
Yes.
at, where I'm going. And so I took little baby steps and took time to announce it.
Well done. The core business for you is fundraising. And for people like myself that I don't have a lot of knowledge or understanding around.
Sorry, Toni, could you repeat the question? Because your voice disappeared for a bit in the middle. Maybe it's my. I'm unable to hear you. Are the others able to hear you?
How's that? Have we
Yeah,
got sound back again?
yeah, we got it.
Yay.
Yeah.
I,
Sorry about that.
apologies, audience. I'm sorry, Vandana. I don't know what happened then, but just a reconnection and off we go again. So my question was around for our audience and those that aren't familiar with the capital raising process for businesses and companies. Can you give us a little bit of insight into what that looks like and why businesses choose to do that?
So the thing is that we are into equity investments. We help startups,
Mm-hmm.
mid-size and large-size companies to get the investments that they require for their marketing needs, for the technology needs, or maybe to expand. And when they get the investments, the investor takes a certain amount of share from their company in return of the investments
Mm-hmm.
that they are making. And companies choose for this kind of an option because typically all the funds, they come in with lot of value add, with the entire marketing team, technology team, the network gets open. And of course, it's like a news, because funds have an upper hand when a startup
Yeah.
gets investments, and it helps a startup to grow um, in a way that startup wouldn't have expected, or cannot do it single-handedly with just two co-founders.
Mm,
So
yeah.
I think that is why investments happen all around the world. And investments happen in disruptive technologies, in deep techs, in health techs, in
Yes.
food tech, fintech, agri-tech, edu-tech. These kind of
Yes.
things get funded really fast. One needs to be really innovative as to what one is bringing on the table, what is the team's background, and whether there is a little bit of revenue, at least to start off with. Uh, Otherwise, we
Uh-huh.
do guide our clients as to the steps towards it, like having a proper pitch deck in order, having a
Yes.
financial model in order, and then approaching the investor in the right manner.
So your company is essentially involved with those businesses right from the moment effectively that they want to go down that funding route. And you advise and provide the strategy that makes sure that you give them the best avenue for success. Sometimes those things and those funding rounds fail. Why does that happen?
So the thing is that when a company comes to us, we help them with their pitch deck, with their video pitch deck, with their
Yeah.
financial models
Mhm.
and valuations. We create a story for them. But typically, a
Yes.
funding round would fail when the founder is not listening to the investment bankers. For instance, we had a case wherein we got in 3 term sheets from different investors from all parts of the world. And initially, we had provided a due diligence list to the company. And they, after submitting their documents, there was something that was lacking. We asked him to correct it over and over again, but he didn't do it. As a matter of fact, the funds got upset and they backed off from the investment round. The other reason why a funding round would fail is the money that an investor is putting in the company is their hard-earned money. Now, some founders used it to buy a car, another one used it to treat cancer. So that whole education needs to be imparted that it is not for personal use, it is for business use. And hence, the round failed. Also because putting in a valuation, which is, and boxing yourself in and not allowing room for negotiations. Not only that, putting a higher valuation in front of the investor makes a funding round fail as well. And these are few things that need to be kept into consideration. That's why a funding round fails. And also sometimes if a pandemic hits and there is a fund that is coming from abroad into the company and the laws change, the anti-money laundering laws change. That's also when a funding round fails. So there are several factors. It also depends on the kind of team the founder has, whether it's a complementary team, whether they have a proper marketing team, a technology team, an operations team that complements each other. If that kind of a team is also not there, then again a funding round might fail. Apologies. So also because these things are really important, that which need to be taken into consideration. And if the founder is not humble enough to pivot, or humble as in grounded enough to listen to the investment bankers, is he reaching to the right kind of investors? Is he doing cold calling, or is he going to the right kind of investment bankers? All these things, like many founders, it's a food company, but they are reaching to a tech VC fund, not looking at their website, not having to look at their thesis. So I think these are some of the things why a funding round would fail.
Okay. And so some of those things would then contribute to how successful they are and increase the likelihood of their of being funded. Is that correct, Vandana?
Yeah. So from the beginning of the time when they enroll with us, we guide them as to all the steps from the pitch making to the fundraise. If they just follow that and, they listen to us, then I think it gets much easier for them. But if they do their own things, then it gets a bit difficult for us to help them out as well.
Yeah, because your company's got quite, there's extensive experience and knowledge they get when they work with you, Vandana. So it actually doesn't make sense that they wouldn't follow your tried and true method for raising their capital. I find it surprising that they would engage your company and then not follow your advice, but I'm hearing that some people do.
Yes, because the thing is that typically founders are also pretty high-headed at times. They think they know everything. They know this field also. They know that. But there is somewhere where they are lacking, because we are continuously in the market, interacting with investors, knowing the fast trends, what's happening in the market, how to do this, how to do that. So even after hiring us, sometimes they don't really, appreciate the work or listen to us. So that's when
Yes.
a round fails. But the people who have followed us, they do get a lot of investments. They get successful in what they are doing. There are some very good testimonials posted on my website
Yes,
and my LinkedIn.
there are.
Uh, yes, so I think that people who have got value, they went ahead and wrote those. So the thing is that that's what matters. That what value we
Yes.
are adding, and at the end of the day, and of course,
Yeah.
95% of the time deals happen, but 5%, of
Mm-hmm.
course, it's uncertain. And we as investment
Yes.
bankers, we do use our relationships with the MDs of the funds to help these companies fund it. But at the end of the day, we can't really put hands in the investor's pocket and say, look, give the money.
And yeah. But you can give them um, the best points in which to get that successful funding. And at the end of the day, there's no guarantees in anything that you do in life. So I'm guessing that there's no guarantees in getting your project funded either. What other options do companies have if their funding rounds do fail? Are there other options that they can go down, Vandana?
So, if a funding round fails, I think they need to sit and evaluate as to why it failed, what happened, start again, or keep on bootstrapping until they reach a certain level where they have proven to the investors that, look, they are capable of doing what they were doing, or at least take some guidance from a proper advisor who will guide them to
Mm,
the right direction. Because certainly must have been something that must have caused a funding round to fail. Otherwise, most of
yes.
them are successful. So I think the first step is either to bootstrap, continue bootstrapping, start the process again, evaluate where one went wrong, whether the pitch deck was right, whether everything was in order, where was the
Mhm.
exact, gap which led them to
Yes.
fail. Yeah.
And you would do all of that as part of your role as well, Vandana. You can help highlight and think, well, perhaps we should have worded it this way, or we should have approached this sort of investor versus that sort of investor. And all that stuff, if a company's working with you, that's the wisdom, knowledge that you provide for them. Yeah?
Yes, so there are few companies that have reached out to me after everything has failed. So we have worked with them
Yes.
again and got them funded. The last testimonial that was posted, it was a fintech company, and
Mm-hmm.
typically, whatever I said, they just followed, and that's why they got a lot of investor meetings. A lot
Yay.
many are looking forward to close around with them. So I think because also they realize that now it's time to follow this investment banker and listen to what
Yeah.
she was saying, and they just, after everything, they asked me for advice. So I think it's a teamwork also. I mean,
Mm.
between the startup and us to together work on the same path, so that we can, the goal is to get them funded, I guess. So I think that's the
Yes.
main thing.
The main thing is to get them their funding. So, I'm just curious, Fernanda, what sort of things do companies use their funding for? Now, there's the obvious ones like product development and marketing, etc. But what's some of the more unusual things that they use their funding for?
So it could be used for technology development, for capital, to
Yeah.
expand more, for marketing, and to further increase the level of their company, to hire more
Mm-hmm.
people, to reach to a certain level where they feel, okay, now I need capital to move this. I've
Yes.
achieved this much. Now I just need this much more to go. So I think these are the basic things why people require funding. Also because a
Yeah.
lot of funds come in with a lot of big value add when they come in.
Uh-huh.
They come in with a large
Yeah.
network, they come in with a lot of team along with them, and they are highly professional. So people like
Yes.
to have those kind of people to back them. At the end of the
Yes.
day, no one can run their show alone, and they need
Mm.
a proper backing of a system, which is why they
Yeah.
look for funding. So they get that backing to, move at a higher level, that maybe have 150 employees later on, or
Yes.
have a certain kind of turnover, which only comes with a big backing support.
Yeah. Yeah. When companies are working out how much they need in a funding round, how do they calculate that, Vandana? How do you work out how much they're going to need, uh, or versus how much they actually want?
So the first time when a company wants funding, it is usually we tell them that they have worked in a job before, to invest their
Mm-hmm.
own money, or it has to be through family and friends, so that they get
Yes.
the feel of it as to what it is to invest your own money into a startup. Second
Uh-huh.
thing is that there is no fixed figure as to how much they should ask for, or how much should be the requirement, but also depends on the revenue they have, uh, or that,
Uh-huh.
also depends on what is the kind of company, what kind of technology it is, and
Yeah.
whether they are asking for a reasonable amount or no. We had a
Mm-hmm.
company that came to us with a zero revenue, was asking for a 3 million. So we said, you're not going to get it
Oh,
because you're at a zero revenue.
you've got no
And
revenue. Mm-hmm.
yeah, so the company did not listen to us, and they went ahead with their funding, and they got a lot of rejections. Then they came back to us and they said, what was our mistake? And I said, you didn't listen to me. I told you that you are at zero revenue, you'll not get 3 million. So I think quoting too much of a higher figure, and not calculating, not making a
Yeah.
proper business plan, leads to
Mm-hmm.
uh, not getting the right kind of funding. And the ask has to be very reasonable and calculated.
Yes. Yes.
Of course,
Yes.
I mean, there's no fixed amount, but how did they reach to that figure? And why do they
Yep.
want so much? So all those things need to be calculated.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that if that capital raise is around increasing employees, you could easily extrapolate X number of employees at this amount of money equals that amount of money. And then we want X number of dollars to do this amount of marketing over this amount of time. I'm thinking that those are the types of things that need to be behind the money that they're asking for in that funding round.
Yes, of course. And also the kind of technology. Some technologies
Yes.
need a high amount of money to be built, some need a smaller amount. And what technology they are bringing in? Is it an app that they want, or is it
Yes.
the back end of the app? What is it exactly? What kind of technology? Is it a robotics technology? Is it a drone technology? Because
Yeah.
each technology has a different cost of expenditure.
Yeah.
I think also depends on what exactly they want to use the money for.
Correct. Okay. I'm really curious. What's the smallest amount of money that people have gone into in a funding round, and what's the biggest amount? Without giving
Smallest
away,
amount,
uh,
sure, sure. So the smallest amount is like 100K, which one can get very
yes,
easily.
uh,
And the highest is up to 25 million, 30 million, 40 million, 50 million, which one can
wow,
get very easily. Some people get even more than that. So it's a difference, a lot of difference, because again, depending on the type of company that one is
Yeah.
looking for.
And your experience actually allows you to handle the smaller end of the scale and the bigger end of the scale, doesn't it?
Yes, we do small to big, all kinds of deals, wherein we can get any and every company funded, as long as we have things in order. Though we are sector agnostic, and we do $1 million
Yes.
to $25 million, but we don't do liquor, solar, and real estate. These three industries we
Yes.
don't pick because there's a lot of work that goes into it, and uh, you know, so we stay away from these three. But other than that, we are sector agnostic. We pick up all kinds of deals in all kinds of
Mm.
areas of life. Yeah.
Vandana, when companies are looking at engaging your services, can they include your fees as part of their capital raise, or do they need to have those fees already before they engage you? How does that work for companies?
So typically, what we do is when a company comes to us, we take an exclusive mandate for the connects we
Mm-hmm.
bring to the company to avoid overlapping and overshopping. We take a
Yes.
success fee which begins from 2% to 6% um,
Uh-huh.
between any amount. And we do take an uh, upfront fees which we minus it from the success, because we
Yes.
provide a service of 3 months to a company
Yeah,
with our time, energy, resources. Hence, we minus the amount from
absolutely.
the success, but we take it a little bit beforehand. So when the company
Yes.
gets the raise, post that is actually our success, because we,
Mm.
post that we get our 2, 3, or 4%. So to give you an example, say the raise is of 1 million raise, and our
Uh-huh.
fees is say 4%. Then once the 1 million hits the account of the founder, we take our 4%,
Yes.
but we minus the retainer
Good.
fee which we took initially and then keep the rest.
Yeah. Good. Good. That's amazing. So, with all this work, the round is successful. Then what happens?
Once the round is successful, then I think the company needs to sit with the investor and report
Mm-hmm.
them as to where they are spending the money, what they are doing, what are the further ways where they are going to expand and use this money. And each and every step, the investor needs to be in the loop. And once the
Yes.
company gets funded, it's a joyous moment for them, because
Yes.
they have got their room to expand. They've got the money that they need to expand for the next couple of years. Now, for their
Mm.
duty is to multiply that money and make it more, so that the
Yes.
investor also gets his returns and is able to exit when the investor wants to. So I think that's a
Absolutely.
teamwork between the investor and the founder once the money hits the account as to what next.
Vandana, does your company stay with the company you're working with for a long term, or is your work essentially finished with a successful round?
So once a successful round finishes, many companies begin another round. So it doesn't really
Mhm.
end there, and it keeps going on
Yes.
because they keep calling for other advices and all. So
Yes.
unless the company doesn't want to, like if the company wants to end the agreement after 3 months and do
Mm-hmm.
things on their own, usually it ends after
Mm-hmm.
3 months. But if they want to continue, then we usually continue. So it depends on company to company as to
Yes.
what they want. So typically, our work finishes when they get success for a few months
Mm-hmm.
with the company. But because they've liked our work so much, and they
Yes.
want to get into more stuff with
Keep
us.
growing.
So yeah, keep growing. Yeah.
Yeah. What should investors look for in a great company CEO?
I think what investors look for is that whether the founder has the drive to run their show or not.
Uh-huh.
And not only that, a humble founder who is grounded, ready to pivot at any time. Also, what is the founder's background? What kind of education
Mm-hmm.
he or she got? And what is it that they bring on the table for the investor? And
Mm-hmm.
all these factors, and what is the disruptive technology that they are working on, that they require funding for. So I think these three few things an investor looks into a CEO. There are some qualities that a CEO must have. Being
Yes.
grounded, being humble, being able to make decisions, keeping the mind in center, keeping calm, and
Yes.
many other factors, that not being too aggressive about certain things. These things, I think, are appreciated more when you're at a leadership
Mm-hmm.
position. How you take things into a stride.
Yeah. 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 Vandana, what sort of tips can you give entrepreneurs about this whole process, and what's some of the pitfalls that they should avoid?
So, my message to all founders listening to this show is that, firstly, keep your mind very, very positive, and
Mm-hmm.
do read the book Power of the Subconscious Mind. It keeps the mind in center and helps you to take clear decisions. Uh,
Yeah.
Also, always get your pitch deck made by a professional, because you could be good at something else, but there are people, professionals, who can make good pitch decks, financial models, valuations.
Mm.
Keep a CFO and advisor in your company, so that if you don't know how to manage the money after getting investments, these people can help you manage the money. Have a mentor on board, have the right kind of investment
Yes.
bankers, who will take you to the right kind of investors. And to avoid, falls, don't box in yourself with a higher valuation.
Mm-hmm.
Also, don't burn the investors' money. It is their hard-earned money which they are bringing into the company.
Yeah.
And like, uh, have that drive and believe in yourself that what you're doing is helping you reach a success level, not helping you reach a failure level. Because of
Yes.
course failure is a stepping stone to greatness, but taking calculated risks is important.
Mm-hmm.
And cannot just hit anywhere in the dark and try to get what we want. And perseverance, patience, and consistency helps a lot with lot many things. Also, the way we
Mm.
communicate to many people around us uh, helps us, get the work that we require, because
Yeah.
it's also our persona that helps us get the right kind of work, the right kind of investors, the right kind of team. So I think there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot more that one can keep adding to it, but these are the basic things that one should always keep in mind.
Yeah. 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 Vandana, from the perspective as a woman in investment banking, have you found that you had to work harder to create that credibility around what you do? Because, you've got decades of working expertise and knowledge, but do you still find it hard to be a woman working in investment capital?
Yes, because typically it's a very male-dominated industry, and
Yeah.
talent is not appreciated, and women are considered to be less business savvy. Women are considered to have, people have all kinds of notions. They pass
Yeah.
all kinds of comments. So I think Um, maybe I think it's my seventh year now to the place where I've
Yes.
reached, but I could have reached it faster, like in a 2 years' time. If I had the support of the men in this industry, that look, everybody is capable. So I think uh, it takes a while
Yes.
for women to reach where they are, because also there are a lot of things attached to, they have families, then
Yeah.
there are other issues. If I have to take my car out at 1 a.m. in the night for a meeting, I wouldn't dare to do so because I'm in
Yes.
India as well. But
Yes.
sometimes I think if I was a man, I would just pick my car and go and get the meeting done and get things sorted. So
Yes.
I think there are certain things which leads us not to reach the level where we want to, but that doesn't stop us in any
Mm.
way. But yes, it takes a bit of time for women, and I think women have
Yes.
to be accepted in these kind of leadership roles. I would recommend investors to have uh, let the
Mm.
have a woman who can manage the funds in the typically, if you look at funds, you will not have
Mm-hmm.
many women managing the money there. You will have
Yes.
men. So I think women are capable of managing the money if they are given the
They
chance to
are.
do so. So I think that's important. You won't see many women in the investment committees or making at the decision making team. There will be people
Yeah.
behind them making the decisions. So I think it's important to give them that platform where they can do things with the talent they have. Of course, men also have
Yeah.
all the talent. So we don't have anything
Yeah.
against men, but I think it should be
No.
appreciated from both ways. Yeah.
Absolutely. And Bandana, we also know that funding wise, it's much more difficult for women and women owned and women led companies to attract the level of investment that men do. I know from lots of discussions with lots of women that women in companies tend to struggle a little more with that whole venture capital and capital raising, don't they? And we're not seeing equal amounts of money being directed to female led companies or female founders, are we?
The thing is that it's also a bit of the women's fault here. Is it that they
Yes.
go back to make the decision with their husband or their fathers or somebody who is in control? Also because
Mm-hmm.
um, they don't want to pave their path to reach there. The education imparted at home,
Yes.
that blue is for
Yeah.
boys and pink is for girls, is also given by the women. So I think all these things need to change. So I've had a few women founders who
Yes.
would go back and make the decision with their spouses when they can actually should be making the
Make it
decision on
themselves.
making themselves.
Mm.
So uh, it's I think women led companies do get funded if it is done it in the
Yes.
right way. If they are approaching things in the right manner also.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I think we cannot always play the victim at times also.
No, agreed. Agreed.
At times we have to also work towards it. So I've seen women like not uh, you know they're not being able to present themselves in the right manner during
Uh-huh.
discussions and stuff like that. So we need to groom them. We need to educate them that
Mm.
look, this is how it is done professionally. This is how we need to, fix our things, and we need to make
Yes.
decisions on our own. Because for me, what worked was that I made my all my decisions, and uh, I lost a lot of people while doing this.
Yeah.
But because I believed in myself that look, I'm going to do it this way, and I was firm about it, I think that's what worked with me. At one point there was no family, no friends, support, almost nobody. I was on my own. So I can say I'm a self-made woman with no backing.
Yes.
No backing of a father, no backing of an alumni, no backing of a husband. But I know that, that there are certain things that one need to believe in themselves. So typically what happens is that women do get carried away when they hear negative comments about themselves, and they that
Yeah.
helps them, that makes their self-esteem go down. I think that
Yeah.
they should, just when you cut out all the negativity from your system, I think you actually come to realize that how talented and skillful you are, and
Yes.
how much you can achieve. But of course, for each and every woman, it is different. But it is, women also have to move towards the same direction, and investors and
Mm.
funds and have to give opportunities to women as well, with the right kind
Yeah.
of support. And so it's a both way thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Vandana, I know you're based in India, and I want to know what sort of troubles startups face in developing countries, in particular, like India.
So typically, now India is done a lot of investments. We have a
Mm-hmm.
Startup India Fund that helps a lot of small and medium startups to get funded. So
Uh-huh.
typically, in developing countries, the technology, we are a little bit far behind. We don't have proper incubators, accelerators. That's where we look upon to Silicon Valley and
Yes.
to help us with those kind of things. But also because of the culture, and there's a
Mm.
lot of education that needs to be imparted in terms of
Yes.
treating women well, in terms of a lot of other things. So I think that is what is lacking. Infrastructure as well, the kind of
Yes.
infrastructure the other countries have, and also the politics and plays a very big
Yes.
role in all countries. Like I'm not sure, you must have heard about the latest news in China that it's not
Yes.
helping their own billionaires to grow. And
Yeah.
it's so again, it's a political issue which is spoiling the whole ecosystem. So these things
Mhm.
are not in our control. Taxing, for instance, like Singapore,
Yes.
if you look at Singapore, many holding companies are created in Singapore for the main
They
reason
are.
that taxes, issue is not there, but there are taxes issues in India. So I think these
I
all
was gonna
factors.
ask I was going to ask Vandana the tax comparison to, say, Singapore and India, and you're saying that it's worse in India?
Yes, yes. Singapore, it's, if you look at Singapore, they are going into
Mm-hmm.
blockchains, crypto, NEFTs. They are open to all kinds of industries. And it's
Yeah.
a pretty safe country for women. For
Yes.
also, there are a lot of startups, a lot of good investors there. Taxing is not an issue. From India, many holding
Uh-huh.
companies get created there. But in India,
Yes.
it's slightly different here. There's a lot of other issues that lead to the slow down the process, or lead to the
Yes.
backfall. Like even getting licenses, typically, or patents, it takes a bit longer than usual, uh, because
Okay.
the processes, and maybe there are too many people in the middle that you need to feed before you reach a certain level.
Yeah. Vandana, do you see India eventually catching up? Like, I have this idea that there's there seems to be a lot of rapid growth for India as a country. And I know that they're often viewed as being behind the Western world, but they are catching up, aren't they? Like India is catching up on a whole range of things in terms of technology and education.
Yes, yes. In fact, many unicorns have been created from India as well. There's a lot of talent
Yeah.
here in terms of
Yes.
technology, in education, in
Yes.
other aspects. In fact, many other countries have Indian people on their board because because of the
Yes.
talent. So India has caught up a lot, but
Yeah.
it's still a bit long way to go until we reach that level where everything is perfect, and things are moving in a perfect direction
Yeah.
towards the welfare of women. Apologies, for jobs, for um, for better infrastructures, for better technologies. But we have
Mm.
robotics, we have different kind of drones here as well.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of technologies which got built during COVID time. So I think it's getting there, and it's much improved
Mm.
now in terms of a
Mm.
lot of things. And but still,
Mm.
we need a little bit more push
Yes.
and support from the other countries that will help us grow in the right manner.
Yeah. Yeah. Vandana, in the last 2 minutes, I just wanted thank you for your time today and sharing your knowledge with us about this really fascinating. The more that I talk to you, the more fascinated I become with how it works and why a company would do it, and all of those things. And I really appreciate you sharing with us so openly about all of your knowledge around capital raising. My final question is that you and your company Convato, you work with anyone from anywhere. So you're not limited to working with companies out of India. You can work with companies in the US, in Germany, in Russia, all over the world.
Yes, yes, we are a global entity. We pick up global deals.
Yes.
We are connected with global investors. We pick up
Mm.
deals from all parts of the world. So anybody can get connected with us for their requirements, such as pitch deck, financial modeling, fundraising,
Yeah.
and we help them as per their requirements. So anybody can get connected to us. But of course, when we pick deals, we do evaluate
Yes.
the founder's background, and we do evaluate the deal before picking. We don't pick
Yeah.
just any deal, but of course, quality deals. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Vandana, thank you for sharing with us today. I look forward to talking to you again at some stage in the future about all the wonderful things that you do around capital raising for companies. It's wonderful to talk to a female CEO working in investment banking, and a delight to have you on the show today. So thank you, Vandana, for being on Radio Toni Everyday Business. That, my friends, is your lot for this week. Please thank Vandana.
Thank you so
We
much.
really appreciate we appreciate you being on the show. I've appreciated our talk, and it's been fascinating from my perspective. We are now completely out of time. Thank you once again. Bye for everyone. We'll see you next week, same time, Radio Toni, Everyday Business. And don't forget, if you're looking at capital or want to know any information about capital raising for companies, please reach out to Vandana. Her details will be in the live chat and also on radiotoni.com. She's more than happy to help you with any of your questions and needs around investments. Thank you so much, and bye for now, everyone.
Bye. Thank you for having me.